I'm joined today by Dr. James Garner. He's CEO of Kazia Therapeutics, which is an Australian oncology company developing innovative, high-impact drugs for the treatment of cancer. Back in August, of course, the core cancer treatment is Paxlovid, which has had some really positive regulatory recognition back in August, with both FDA fast-track status approval and granted orphan drug designation. Now, James, more recently, Kazia announced that the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute in the US would conduct a lead study into your drug, Paxlovid, but this is for the treatment of nervous system lymphoma. So what's the significance of this announcement?
Tim, this is going to be the 6th ongoing clinical trial of Paxlovid in different forms of brain cancer. We've always said that glioblastoma was our primary focus. That's the most common and the most aggressive form of brain cancer. We think it's the best shot for this drug. But we've also been trying to explore the drug in other forms of brain cancer. We think the drug's got potential in a whole range of different diseases, and we've put together some really creative solutions to try and understand that. This latest collaboration with Dana-Farber is really just the latest in that broader program. We've got a study ongoing in childhood cancer. We've got 3 studies ongoing in cancer that spread to the brain from elsewhere. And we now have this Dana-Farber study in primary CNS lymphoma. So it's really just a new opportunity for us. It's a chance to learn more about the drug, to see if we can help a different group of patients, and potentially, of course, to expand the commercial opportunity for Paxlovid.
James, Kazia has kind of fully embraced this investigator-led studies. So how does Kazia engage with these investigators to ensure both of you get what you want out of these trial processes?
Tim, we've worked really closely with investigators for most of the studies that we're working on. The glioblastoma work we keep very much under our ownership and our control. But all of the other forms of brain cancer we've been looking at are run, as you say, through investigator-led studies where the clinicians themselves have the primary ownership of the study. Now, for us, this is partly a question of pragmatism and it's partly a question of philosophy. The pragmatic element to this is that no company our size could afford to run a clinical trial program of this breadth if we were doing it all ourselves. You know, the cost of this would be many, many tens of millions of dollars. We do not have the resources for that. So fundamentally, this has allowed us to access funds in the hospital, to access external funding to help take the drug forward. And this gives us just effectively an incredible sort of operating leverage in the company. Philosophically, though, we also believe this is the best way to do drug development. We as a company don't have all the answers. We don't know everything about every form of brain cancer. So we work really closely with the people who do. And we work with some of the top names in the business here. Dana-Farber is one of the top 5 cancer hospitals in the world. They've got arguably the best primary CNS lymphoma center in the world. And there's nobody who's better positioned to run a study in this disease. So we're really grateful to be able to work with people like that. The way we do this is to make sure that we give the clinicians all the support they need. We need to bring an A game in terms of our intellectual understanding of the drug and how it works. But we also respect their expertise in the disease area, and we make sure that we have full access to the data that comes out of it. So this is starting to get tried and tested for us now.
James, 3 of the 4 drugs of this type were approved for use in blood cancers, which is where lymphomas are normally found. Do you believe this increases or decreases the risk of the trial, and why?
This is home territory for PI3K inhibitors, which of course is the class of drugs to which Paxlovid belongs. As you say, Tim, 3 out of the 4 FDA-approved drugs are approved for different forms of lymphoma outside of the brain. We're the only drug in this class that can get into the brain, the only drug that can cross the blood-brain barrier. So we're really taking something that's been tried and tested elsewhere, and we're just applying it in the brain, which is very much our sweet spot. So you could reasonably say if ever there was a disease area where this drug is likely to work, arguably it would be this one. So we have a lot of excitement to see this. Now, against this, it's very difficult difficult disease. It's a very treatment-resistant disease. So we don't want to delude ourselves that this is a walk in the park by any means, but we really have, as a class of drugs, we really have a strong track record in lymphoma. And so I think this looks like a really promising opportunity for Paxelicin.
James, so what sort of events should investors see occurring for Kazia, say, over the next 6 to 12 months?
Well, Tim, this is a really busy time for us. So in addition to the primary CNS lymphoma study, which we expect to start recruiting patients probably at the beginning of calendar 2021, we're also planning to start recruitment to our pivotal study in glioblastoma, a study called GBM Agile. We're hoping to start recruiting patients to that by the end of the year. We're very advanced in preparation for that. So that's going to be a huge landmark for us as a company. And then meanwhile, we've got other clinical trials going on in childhood brain cancer, in metastatic brain cancer. And we're expecting to start seeing data from some of those by the end of the year, and then as we roll into next year. So there's really going to be a rich flow of data for the foreseeable future, honestly, from this increasingly broad clinical program. And I think that's going to make this an exciting time for investors.
Dr. James Garner, thanks for your time.
Thanks, Tim.